What's going on, everybody? It's AG here. Week 4 of the college football season is upon us. So let's go ahead and talk about the teams that could be on upset alert in week 4. We've actually got some pretty solid matchups this week. It should be a pretty good week of college football. So let's go ahead and get started. On Friday, there is one game in particular that I think it could be an upset alert game. Illinois and Nebraska. So Nebraska is probably going to be favored. They're ranked in the top 25, as you can see, and they're getting a lot of love, a lot of hype because of their quarterback, who is apparently Patrick Mahomes' cosplayer, but also they got that win over Colorado. People love to hype up Colorado. As for Illinois, they've taken care of business. Brett Bielema, they're always going to be a solid football team, a top, 40-ish football team probably in college football. They have a win over Kansas. They've taken care of business so far. I think Illinois beats Nebraska in that one, but should be a good matchup to watch on Friday. Starting off with Saturday, NC State at Clemson. That's one I would keep an eye on. NC State, they got blown out by Tennessee. Clemson got blown out by Georgia. Not as bad, but Clemson's probably going to be favored here, especially at home. But I think NC State is a quality football team. They are talented enough to play with Clemson and talented enough to beat Clemson because honestly, I think Tennessee might be legit. And I think that win over NC State was just Tennessee being good. But I think NC State definitely is going to be a factor in the ACC title race. So definitely watch out for NC State over Clemson. Moving right along here, I don't think USC and Michigan is going to be a game, really. I think USC will beat them pretty easily. Georgia Tech at Louisville. That's another one I would keep an eye on. Georgia Tech, yes, they have a loss now, but Louisville is beatable. Okay, so despite being a top 25 team, they have looked good so far this year, but Georgia Tech is talented enough to beat Louisville. I think that ACC title race is going to be pretty fun to watch because I don't think there's just any team that's just super dominant over the others. And then Utah, Oklahoma State, that'll be a good one to watch. I don't know who's going to be favored here. I think Oklahoma State will win, but as far as who's favored, it's probably going to depend on is Cam Rising healthy or not. Miami at South Florida is another one to keep an eye on. I think South Florida can beat Miami, especially hosting the game. That's going to help them out. But South Florida, we saw them play with Alabama. Don't be fooled by the score at the end of the game. That game was close till the end. Miami, that Florida loss looked good at the time, but Florida looks worse and worse each week. I think USF can beat Miami, especially being at home. That's one to keep an eye on. And then moving along here, Tennessee at Oklahoma. Tennessee will probably be favored here. I don't think Oklahoma can beat them. I haven't been super impressed by Oklahoma so far this season. And then the last one I want to talk about is Kansas State at BYU. So Kansas State's going to be favored here. They're a top 25 team, probably going to move up after that win this week over Arizona. But as for BYU, they are 3-0. They have a win over SMU. And I know SMU hasn't looked like, what SMU was thought they were going to look like this year. A lot of people had expectations they could win the ACC. They haven't looked like that. But I think BYU can give Kansas State a game here, especially being a late game. All right, it's going to be on the West Coast. It's going to be a late game. It's going to be a game hosted by BYU. I think BYU is going to give Kansas State everything they want here. And I think Kansas State might be on upset alert here. But those are the games that I think could be upsets this week. Who did I miss? Who would you add to this list? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.